Hey guys, welcome back to the first mini painting video of the year. It's been too long since I painted a miniature and I got the itch for it, so I'm gonna paint this troll from Nolzur's Marvelous Minis. Daniela actually picked this out. We were in some game store and saw a bunch of random miniatures there. I was like, oh, maybe I should get one. She picked it out, so I'm gonna paint it today. I'm gonna maybe try and go a little closer to what the monster manual represents the colors to be, because I've never tried doing that before. I always usually just kind of like make the color scheme up in my head. So let's paint. Let's get this thing opened up so we can see what we're looking at. Okay, well, you know the drill. First thing we're gonna do is prime. Maybe we should try and clean up these seams a little bit. Not the greatest job in the world, but I think it looks more like boils and terrible skin than marks now. So first, some primer. So remember, the primer is to help the rest of the paint stick, and so you won't have to put on as thick a coat to kind of block out that under color of gray. So you don't want to go too heavy. You don't want to obscure any of the details. You just need to get enough on that it coats on top to, like I said, help the colored paints adhere to the plastic or the resin of the miniature. All right, now that we're all primed up, I think I'm going to start with some lighter colors on the belly. I've never really done color fading paint jobs like this. It's the first time for me, so I'm not really sure how it's gonna work out, but I'm gonna try doing, I guess, the lighter areas first, which I'm assuming, I guess, it's these more raised spots, or spots closer to the inside. We're just gonna add some light colors. I mean, we can always go over and do some highlights on this stuff later too. This just gives us a good base to start with. We're gonna move on to a bit of a darker color, more of a green. Move further out. I have no idea what I'm doing, so we're just gonna hope this turns out all right. Well, I mean, I have an idea of what I'm trying to do. I'm gonna kind of set the colors up and then wet my brush and kind of try and blend it all together. And then we can see what it looks like and make some adjustments, hopefully. And then you can always add highlights after again, like I said. We're gonna take some good old bugbear brown. Mix that in there a little bit. We're gonna add that onto extremities, shoulders, close to the groin area. To darken up some of these edges, the knees. You know, like I said, around in the hips and the groin. Do the hands, elbows, shoulders, the armpits and the top of the chest. Now we're gonna take this wet brush, get some of the water off, and kind of just follow the shape of the body. Too much water. We'll add a little bit of green onto it. Not too much. A little more of this. Just kind of pull those really light spots out and fade them into the darker spots, so we don't have sharp lines of separation between the colors like this. So we still have this sharp thing here. We're gonna put a bit of wet paint on there. Try and kind of blend that. Let that dry for a bit. Okay, now that this is dry, we're gonna take a little bit of Treant Green and a little bit of Bugbear Brown and mix another darker kind of muted green. We're gonna almost dry brush it on top of the various parts. Some of the spots that the color got wiped off from the kind of wet blend. I'm not going to cover everything, I'm just going to kind of almost accentuate some of the other body parts, kind of like a highlight with a darker color. And I'm hoping that this thin coating over top will kind of help in the blend of the other colors and leave kind of that dark green, like really pure green undertones. I think that's starting to look pretty good. The stomach's a bit too green though. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this angelic yellow, kind of mix it in there, that darker green, pat that onto the stomach. Some of the other highlighty kind of parts. We're gonna take a little bit of rigid leather right out of the bottle. Do the loincloth here. Now for the rope, I'm gonna take some of this angelic yellow and mix it with a tiny little bit of that leather to make a dirty kind of muted yellow for the rope. Give it that worn, dirty, troll vibe. Okay, now we're gonna just take straight up abyssal black. What we're gonna do his hair and nails. Okay, so we got the nails and the hair done. I think it looks pretty good, but I did get a bit of black on some of the spots that need to be green, and I think I got a little bit of brown like in there. So we're gonna touch that up before we do anything else. So we're gonna make a few varying shades of green like we did before. Start with the Treant Green. A little bit of Bugbear Brown. And a tiny little bit of angelic yellow. Okay, for the inside of the mouth, I'm gonna try starting off with some Sturge Tan. See how that looks. I don't want to go full-blown red. I want it to be a little bit more muted. I'm just gonna try a small little bit first. Oh, I like that. There you go, Ancient Mummy on the teeth. I'm thinking just angelic yellow in on the eye. I haven't mastered the eyes on anything yet, but hey, we're gonna add some Gorilla Glue because my super glue needs to be replaced. It's a little stringy, but I mean this will be good enough anyways. Let that dry. Okay, so the glue's dry. I don't like this base. We're gonna fix this base and soup it up a little bit later, but I think we're looking good. The mouth turned out really well, I think. The eyes I might have to put some pupils on, but I'm really digging this skin tone. And I'm really digging, you know, the hair and the nails. But before we do anything else, what I want to do is get all these details, the veins and the bumps. And because everything on the skin so far has been based around Treant green, you know, Treant green and yellow, Treant green and brown, Treant green, that's our base. I want to do the base with that too, and I want to keep it in the cool color side. You know, I'm kind of feeling poisonous troll kind of vibes from this color, so I'm gonna mix a little bit of Treant green and maybe a little bit of lich blue and try and use that to dry brush onto some of these things and see how that looks. Okay, we're gonna get as much of the water off the brush as we can. Take a little bit of paint. We're just gonna lightly kind of go. My dry brushing technique needs some work, I think. I've decided to add a little bit of straight up, just like glue on a couple of them. You know, give a little bit of variety. Maybe they're at varying degrees of infection or... Okay, we're ready to try the pupils. I'm gonna take our trusty old toothpick. Just do the tiniest little bit on there. Perfect. Yeah, that's all the paint on him. I can work on the base. So what I'm imagining for this base is he's walking on a dirt path. I'm gonna glue some preserved moss on here, but first I'm gonna paint this brown for a pathway. So I'm gonna do some bugbear brown. I'm gonna add a little bit of angelic yellow. With these colors for the bases, I don't really care if it gets mixed up 100% properly. It's almost better if it doesn't, because then when you're applying it, it varies in its colors and shades, and it looks a little bit more natural. I mean, this one mixed pretty good, but I just thought I'd point that out. So as I was brushing it on, it thinned out and I ran out and I saw there was a few spots that were bleeding through a little bit. So I brushed on a tiny little bit of just straight up bugbear brown on top. And I think that gives the terrain color a little bit of depth, the dark kind of on top, but it's very subtle. And we're gonna let this dry. I'm gonna do a couple touch-ups. Let this dry and then we'll finish up the base and give her the wash. Okay, we're ready. We're gonna cover the base in glue around, you know, where we want the moss to sit. I'm gonna put a generous amount because I do want it to go on a bit thicker and hopefully match up to the height of the existing base. I'm just gonna take a toothpick and get it in there. You don't care if it gets on the sides a bit. Get our moss. We're gonna break it up into small pieces first. Not in the paint though, if you can help it. And then apply generously. And you know what? We're just gonna go straight into the wash while that dries, and then we can touch it up a little bit later. We all know this is the best part, when the details pop. I use a pretty thick, dark black wash that I made because I like the really grungy kind of look. But and here he is, the first miniature paint of the year, the Troll. I'm not gonna lie, I hadn't painted a miniature for so long that I forgot how exciting it was. Once I got into this miniature and started painting, I just got super stoked, and this is the reason I kind of started doing this, is the feeling. And it was really cool, you know, trying to get more depth with the color in the skin, adding all those different layers of color all based off the same thing. I've never tried anything like that before, but I want to get better at this, so I thought I'd give it a shot, and I think it worked out super well. And I think going with the blue overtones on that was a great idea. The base worked out well the way it was designed. You know, it just gave me the inspiration to make it look like he's walking on some kind of a path. So overall, I think this went super well. It is a lot easier to work on bigger size miniatures because, you know, the trolls, the ogres and stuff are definitely quite a bit bigger than, you know, medium-sized creatures for D&D. But anyways, that's how I painted the Troll. Let me know in the comments how well you think I did in comparison to the picture in the monster manual. I know I went a little bit off. Let me know what you think of this miniature paint. Let me know if you have any tips or tricks of your own. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We got lots more fun stuff coming up you can do inside and out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.